All right. Let's see. Let's see. I tell you, man, the shadow banning TikTok is like wild. So we're gonna get Mr. John back in here, and we will continue. Okay, looks like we're there. All right, come on back. Come on back. Sorry about that, but I don't know. TikTok has a real problem sometimes with shadow banning, and we don't want to be shadow banned. We want as many people as possible to listen to the show. Um, so we'll get John back in here. Let me get us another invitation. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. Send that back. All right. Go ahead and share the live out. Tap, tap, tap the screen. My apologies, but it looked like we were being shadow banned, and we don't want that. Hey, Kim, how you doing?
Howdy doody.
How's it going?
It's going. I'm cleaning the house, but I do have two questions for her. So,
Yeah,
uh,
we're gonna open it up for questions at the end,
okay.
and any questions you have, you'll have the opportunity. I'll
Okay.
have you and Mr. Row up along with Mary, waiting for him to come back in. There you go. Here he is, right? Okay, here she is.
Okay, we back
Sorry
in the
about
bag.
that. TikTok is weird. Sometimes they'll shadow ban you for certain topics. It's just, and we can tell by the numbers. So like we got 102 people in the room right now. We had
Yeah.
15 prior to that. So I wanted to make sure as many people could hear Miss Mary Benefield as possible. So if you could turn it back over to her, we'll get back going. I'm sorry about
Yeah,
that.
here we go.
Sorry about that, Mary.
No problem.
So
It's
listen, so we stopped with the thing that you wanted to do. Why do you think mental health has become such a challenge for the municipalities and the country as a whole to get it going so that people get the help that they may need?
I think I think one of two things. Number one, the pharmaceutical industry has, for lack of a better term, inserted itself in all areas of our lives. And so I think we have stopped teaching people skills and tools to deal with stress and difficulties and death and life skills and hard circumstances. We don't do that anymore. You know what I'm saying? And we have moved to where if there's a problem, you take a pill. If you're stressed, you take a pill. If you're this, and instead of teaching the skills to walk through a difficult situation, we've moved very much to the pharmaceutical solution for everything.
Right.
Just take a pill and it'll get better.
Sure.
But if you find yourself in a circumstance where you don't have fat insurance or you don't have a lot of means, then all of a sudden your options for finding those things aren't there. And people have a tendency to turn to things that are not so helpful and so beneficial and not so legal to try to manage and deal
Right.
with life and its circumstances. I think that's a big part of it.
Right. And in your district, I'm sure you have a plan to bring those things to the forefront. Number one, to kind of, I think in the country as a whole, the stigma of mental health has been kind of changing, especially with more and more athletes coming out. There's a new term of mental health day. I know sometimes I have to take one myself.
Right.
So the stigma has kind of left a little bit.
Right, absolutely, absolutely, as it should. And I think the process by which there is so much that goes, and I'm going to roll this back into another topic that's important to me, which is education. Education is not, we get this idea that education is, kindergarten through high school or kindergarten through college. Everybody, no matter how old you are, needs to be growing and learning and changing and expanding what their knowledge base is. So I think a big part of that is the private sector can work very diligently in meeting some of the needs and finding out what are our statistics. Are we teaching our kids tools to deal with things? As young people, are they learning anger management? Are they learning how to walk through a situation and talk through something out? What are the outside influences that create that type of, an inability to solve conflict through communication?
Right. I think a lot of times, especially in school, because my son just graduated 90 days ago, I don't know if they're always equipped on how to deal with things outside when someone is not there to referee.
Correct.
Even at work, you may get bullied. And right. I think that I think we're not instilling our children a way for them for conflict resolution.
Right. And I mean, that's a life skill. I don't know about other people in this life, but if you're married, you better figure out how to do conflict resolution. If you have children, you better figure that out. If you have a job, these are all necessary life skills for growth and development all the way around. Right. And I don't think we're getting that piece of it.
No, I think the children sometimes leaving school don't have those skills. Also, when they come up against any kind of conflict, they tend to run away from it instead of facing it head on.
Right. I know from my own experience, I think part of the problem is that from my own experience, we have removed the parental structure from the school system. I know my own experience was that as a parent, and particularly because my kids they did a private school for like the first up to about 6th grade, and then we had to find some other solutions. We had to find, one of my children had a learning disorder, so she went in one route. One of my other sons really wanted to do the DeKalb County School of the Arts, so he went that route. One of my other children, homeschool was a much better environment for him, so we moved in that direction. And what I will say to you is, at that time when my kids were 8, 11, and 12, they lost their dad very unexpectedly to cancer.
Oh, wow.
So we were dealing with all kinds of things all at once at some really critical ages for them, particularly for my boys. So what I noticed in the school system was that as a parent, the school wanted to call the parent only when the kid was in trouble or there was a problem. And then they were expecting you to come in and solve this problem. But they were not willing to get you involved earlier on when there may have been an issue that we may not have had to get to a crisis point. Because there was very much a feeling that you're a parent, and we really don't want your input, and we really don't think you're all that wise. So we don't want you to be involved until there's a problem, and then you have to step in and do some kind of discipline.
Absolutely.
It's necessary when the school talks to the parent and the kid, then solutions can be found way before we get to a crisis.
Right. We see that kind of in the Bethlehem High School, Second Amendment, the kid, there were some things that could have been helped in the forefront or behind so that, we don't come into a whole situation and then it explodes.
Right. Exactly.
100%. I definitely agree with you on that. Listen, I don't know if you know, but we got an election going on at the president level. Are you aware of that, Miss Mary?
Everybody, I don't know about you, but you can't turn on the TV or anything else without it.
Absolutely. So I wanted to go Listen, there's a big thing going on that a lot of Georgians want, or at least some of the delegates, they want it to be each vote to be hand counted. They want to do away with the machines. And I'm thinking, you tell me if I'm wrong, but you're in favor of that. Is that correct?
Yeah, I am very much in favor of paper ballots, yes.
Okay. And I saw on your website with the Old Dominion, what is it you want to do with Old Dominion?
I would like to do away with the machines.
Okay. And can you explain to the audience why you would like to do away with that?
I will do this, and I will be careful because I know you can get in trouble. Based on an experience that happened to me in the prior years, it strikes me very, very much that there seems to be this ideology that our voting systems can't get hacked or manipulated in any kind of way when every other system in place, particularly computerized, has. Credit cards can get hacked, bank can get hacked, Home Depot got hacked. So we have this kind of ideology around that this system is so secure that that's the one thing in the world that can never happen. Based on our technology, we know that that's not accurate. So I always believe, particularly when you're talking about someone's vote, that is the most sacred thing. And there are many people who died for our ability to vote and vote our values, our opinions, our standards, our policies. And that system has to be as transparent and as recountable as possible. So I think along the lines of, now what the state election board did is what they passed was that on election night, the number of ballots cast has to match the number of voters that went through. So the rule that they put in place has to simply do with accountability, like you had 500 people come into this polling station to vote, and we have 500 votes. That's clear. Then everybody agrees and we're good to go. It's not about what the result of the ballot is. It's just counting 500 people, 500 votes, which I think that needs to be one of the most transparent systems there absolutely is. And what we have, there are too many questions and there are too many people that believe or have doubts in the system, and that's finding ways that you can, with that everyone, it's not about the result. And that's where I think the spin gets sent to. It's about knowing that we had this many votes and this person got this many votes, and we can go back and count that 2, 3, 5, 10 times and get to the same number every single time so that the person that got the most votes won. And I don't understand what the huge issue about that is, because I would think that everyone, no matter what side of the aisle that you're on, independent, Democrat, Republican, whatever, we would all want that. So that's where part of my confusion comes in as to why this is such a big issue.
Right. I guess a lot of people, and I'm sure some of my Democratic friends would say, well, Old Dominion won the lawsuit against Fox News, which kind of, let us know that I don't think there's anything wrong with the machines. And then also with technology, they have safeguards in place. They have many, people who are watching those things to make sure that our votes are sacred. Does that make sense?
I completely understand what you're saying, and I think there are some things that each of us are going to disagree on with from that matter. Because I don't personally feel that way, and I think I think it's a larger issue as well, that goes into the voter rolls and the cleaning and making sure that A, only legal citizens can vote, and
Correct.
B, that people who are dead or have moved are not voting, because that's an opportunity to change what those people that really want, what the will of the voters was. So, I think those are the things, those are some of the systems that we put in place to make sure that we have accuracy and transparency. Because as you well know, that there are a lot of people that don't agree with the statement that you made and don't feel the same confidence in the system that we have as you do.
Right. I mean, okay. Well, listen. I guess we'll see if that's going to. Because I'm sure that with the state election board, those things are going to be challenged before the election comes up and things like that. And we'll see what the judges in the cases say.
Right.
I'm going to move to immigration. Immigration is a hot topic right now. With the bills that were passed, not passed, Biden with the executive order slowing down things at the border. I'm of the belief that just because you ask to knock, if you knock on the door, doesn't mean that we have to let you in. My grandfather came here. He had to have a job. He had to have a sponsor. He had to be disease free before he was able to come into the country because we want assets, not liabilities. That makes sense. And so I'm interested in what your immigration policy would be here in Georgia, where immigration is kind of a hot button issue.
Right. We have a standard and we have laws in place. And I think the biggest part about it is not changing new laws and not coming up with new stuff. Let's go back to the policies and the laws that are already in place. Because the other part about it too, and nobody ever wants to talk about this piece of it, is that when you have an influx of people that don't speak the language, that have no resources, that don't get inculcated into a society, who pays the bill for their living expenses and their medical expenses and to their education expenses for themselves and their children? It's the taxpayer.
Right.
Always the taxpayer. The government is not a money-making company. It is not like a company that produces a project. It makes widgets. They sell the widgets. They sell the widgets for more than it costs them to make them. So they have a profit. Those terms, profit and loss, income and expense, balance sheet, are not terms that are associated with a government because the government doesn't make anything. It produces nothing to sell. The government is run by taxpayer money. We're the customer. And we have moved in ways that we have been taxed and taxed and taxed. And the problem is that those American citizens that we talked about earlier that have some substance abuse and mental health issues,
right?
All of those resources are going for people that have never put anything into the system and never paid anything in, and all they're doing is pulling out of the system. So you're robbing the illegal immigration robs the taxpayer, the American citizen taxpayer, of the services that's available that they have already paid into. So we become a giant world welfare on the backs of me and you and everyone on this podcast, and it's just it's unsustainable.
Right.
These numbers
I want to go on some of that level. I'm curious. Do you have a couple of solutions that you think would help with the undocumented coming across? Do you have some sort of plan to help people? Or is it just kind of explain what you would like to see happen? If I Thanos snapped my finger and you were in charge, could you give me like the top 3 things you would do to try to, what immigration reform would mean to you?
Right. Okay. Number one, it's, let me back up. First of all, how do you get here and are you let in? And this is where it gets really difficult because you get down on the state level, right? But when you have the federal system and the federal government is in charge of immigration and the federal government comes in and says, like it happened in Texas, when Texas said, hey, we can't sustain this. And the federal government stepped in and overrided the state to say, we're sorry, you have to accept this. Then all of a sudden you've got a process with which states are expected to foot the bill for the things that the federal government allowed and forced upon the states. I think a big part about it is, we do have the, when you're a company and you hire an employee and they have to have the, you have to prove your citizen status. I think that's important. And I think as an employer has a responsibility to say, hey, I need to see your papers. I need to see that you're legal. I need to see that you're a citizen. If you're not, you have a visa, and that you have been processed through the right system. And to me, the important thing about that is that you are paying taxes. That if you are working here, you are paying back into the system just like everyone else is. That has to do with employment. That has to do with housing. That has to do with inculcating in a system which if you're going to work in and move to, you have to be. So I don't have an issue whatsoever. Number one, if you get a job, you have to show your citizen papers, or you have to show where you are in the process. Right. Now, I'm going to pull back the lens here for a second, because I think what's happened is the immigration system as itself has become its own, like most things. Number one, extremely bureaucratic, and number two, really complicated. And so who ends up making the most off of in the immigration process are the immigration attorneys. I believe that we can have a process that is simple, that is not overly expensive, that anybody that does want to come and bring their skills and live here absolutely can. But the process is a lot easier. And this is where it gets messy, because you've got state and you've got federal. So in our district, I think employers need to be able to prove that they are asking for citizenship papers, that they are asking to see that that person belongs in their housing and in every other way. I think that's the first start.
Okay. All right. Anything else, or was that it?
Yep, I could talk for 2 hours, but I mean, but I won't do that, because I know one of the ladies said that she had a question.
Okay, let's open it up for questions. Miss Kim, we'll start off with your question. Any questions from the audience? We'll go from there. Miss Kim, what's your question for Miss Mary Benefield, state candidate in District 55 here in the great state of Georgia?
Hi, Miss Mary.
Hi, Kim.
Thanks for the time to speak with you. I live in Los Angeles, so I don't live in the state of Georgia. So you spoke on something about mental health and addiction, and I work in that field. I have 13 years of sobriety myself, so I understand it. And you are very right.
We want to applaud that, because Miss Kim, she's done the work, and man, she's a beautiful person, and she's given back to the community, when, like you said, she's been sober for 13 years. So I always want to applaud her.
Thank you, Mr. Denali.
You're welcome.
So you are so correct that the two go hand in hand. And, I'm dual diagnosed. And once I figured that out, it took away the cravings for the alcohol and the drugs.
Right.
What happens, though, what I find, like I said, I've been working in this field for about 7 years. So what happens a lot of times is, people want to fix one thing at a time. They say, oh, I just want to deal with my addiction, right? And they're in denial about the mental health. Or they say, oh, I just want to fix my mental health problem, and they don't want to fix the other. And if you don't fix both of them at the same time, you're just going to go out and relapse, That's just going to happen. So that is one of the problems. Another problem is...
Ms. Kim.
Yes?
Do you have a question?
Oh,
yeah,
yes.
Let's just, not to cut you off, but let's...
Okay, so my question was, I was going to tell her about some things that we have here, though, in place for that. Like, but I did have a question, but that was about the abortion. So
okay.
my question.
Use AB.
AB. My question about AB is, where do you stand on AB rights?
Okay, in the state of Georgia, what we have currently is we have the heartbeat bill. And so that's 6 weeks, when a heartbeat is detected, then abortion is, I'm sorry, John's reminding me. then when the heartbeat is detected, then AV is not legal. So that's where we currently sit. Um, Kim, when you say what are my thoughts on it, are you talking about where we stand in Georgia or my personal belief?
Well,
So
now that
basically, your policy.
yeah, your policy, because now that they're bringing it down to the states, I'd like to know what you would put in place.
I believe that that there has to be a limit. I don't know that the 6-week heartbeat bill is a little tight, and I would not be opposed to 15 weeks.
Okay.
But beyond that, at that point in time, I think there has to be a cutoff.
Exactly.
And that would be my personal preference in that.
Okay. Okay, great. I like that.
All right, great. Thank you, Kim.
Okay.
Mr. Rowe.
I'm going to drop down.
Yes, yes.
Yes, sir. Do you have any
Hello,
questions for
Miss
Mr. Rowe?
Mary.
Hi, Mr.
Miss
Rowe. How
Mary.
are you?
Yes. Look, I think it's a wonderful thing that you're doing by coming on Mr. Denali Live to get the word out. And my question to you would be, basically, I mean, I'm a Democrat,
Okay.
but listening to you, I would vote Republican.
I appreciate that.
Look at that.
Okay.
Wow, Mr. Rowe.
Yeah, look, listening to you, I would vote Republican. But basically, I guess what I wanted to ask you as I was listening to you and the word of defunding the police, how do you feel about that? I mean, if I can explain myself, I worked in the police department as a budget director. Now, I just wanted to know, defunding the police, it sounds bad, but it's really not a bad thing. So what are your thoughts on it?
Well, see, this goes back to a lot of what I think about is about money and about accountability and about transparency. Number one,
Yes.
are those resources being used to the best of their ability or to the best use? From my perspective, I know in DeKalb County that a lot of the police spend an inordinate amount of their check for their union and their health insurance and all of that. That's why a lot of the police officers moonlight. Okay? From my perspective, when you pull back the lens, if an officer can't make a living wage and he's got to moonlight in a bunch of different directions just to pay the bills, there's a problem with his primary job. Are the funds that taxpayers using being used correctly? Do they have good insurance? Do they have good training? Are we pouring good money after bad money? What are the specific issues that officers themselves have? Are they getting good mental health checks? Are we providing, as a county or a state, are we providing all of the things necessary for them to be able to do their job as efficiently and effectively as possible? Have we cut down have we cut the number of officers down trying to fit in the budget that we have put the public safety at risk, but are we also holding our officers accountable at the same time? I think there's a good balance that needs to be struck. What do you think?
Actually, I like what you said, and I know Mr. Denali is gonna clip a lot of what you said and put it out there, so a lot of folks will get to hear you. But I think with the budget and police, they always need more money to keep up with the inflation and the times. I think they need to add a separate department in the within the budget. Like the police have SWAT, they have a lot of different departments.
Right.
I think they need to add one more department that can deal with mental health patients, when they get a call instead of a regular police officer going out there. So don't take no money away from the budget, but add a separate unit and let that unit deal. You see what I'm saying?
Mr.
And
Earl,
that person.
I agree with that 100% because, as you know from your experience, right? An officer
Yes.
gets in a situation, he's just trying to handle the crisis, make sure that if anybody's been hurt, if there's a bad guy, they need to go to jail. They're there for a 20, 30-minute time frame because what happens? They're going to get another call. They've got to do something else. They are not equipped to handle that circumstance and don't have the training. So I completely agree with you on that. That you have people
There you
that
go.
have special issues, that a 20-minute officer showing up doesn't have the skill set, and it's really unfair to put the officer in that position to try to navigate and understand what the real crisis is. I completely agree with you on that, Mr. Rowe.
I'm absolutely, we talk about that all the time. I think that phrase defund the police was hijacked. I was like, I don't want to defund the police, but after I pulled the rug back and looked at what exactly they wanted to do, because police are there to neutralize a threat.
Correct.
They're a hammer, okay? And like you
Right.
said, it's not fair to put them in a position where a mother may be calling about her son or daughter who may be off their medication.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? So another force, like Mr. Rowe was saying, would be good to help in those kind of situations. As we talked about the mental health earlier in this conversation, I think that would go in part in helping mental health patients as opposed to calling the police and then next thing you know, there's some kind of tragedy. The person may be unalive. The officer's in trouble because we kind of put them in a situation where they're not really equipped to deal with.
Absolutely. I completely agree with that. Great suggestion, Mr. Rowe.
Absolutely. And I see that we have Miss Brooke
No.
Alexis. Miss Brooke Alexis is an RN, so she's in the medical field. Miss Brooke Alexis, you have a question for Miss Mary Benefield?
Yeah, hey, I kind of popped in a little bit after you had kind of shared everything. I missed it. Um, but I did have a question, and just kind of keep it TikTok friendly. It's about pew pews. Um, with everything that just happened recently in Georgia, where is that conversation now on 2A regulations and things like that to help prevent those things in the future?
Okay. Now I'm with you, John. I'm not always TikTok literate, so now I understand. I'm with you now. This is a complicated subject. Number one, we have our Second Amendment rights, and I think that's very important for Americans to hold on to. I think a bigger part of the problem is that what we have learned historically, and I think this is where history teaches us lessons, if you all of a sudden make something prohibited, nobody can have it, go back to prohibition. How's that tied in? We took alcohol. What happened? It created black markets. It created speakeasies. It created organized crime. It created a lot of negative things that we're still dealing with in some respects today. I believe that from a very young age, part of education-wise goes is that we need to teach children about guns. We need to teach them about the power of a gun. I personally believe that videos and and there is so much violence that we expose children to at a young age that they get very desensitized to it. When I was growing up, we had guns in our household, but we were taught from a very early age about what they were, what they could do, and how powerful that they are. So I think there's got to be a big change in our thinking and our ideology about that, because we have allowed our music industry and our movies to make this guns this cool thing, instead of the powerful weapons that they are and the destructive things that they do. I think that's a big part of it. But I think the more you prohibit something, and that's human nature, the more you take something away, the more I want it. And the more I will do whatever I need to do to get it. And so I don't know, so it's not taught responsibly. It's not taught the power that it really does have and the destruction that it can really do. I think that we need to. I don't personally have a problem if you want a gun and you buy it through a legal thing. I don't have a problem with it. You, in order to get it, you need to have a gun safety. Need to have a gun safety course that you have to take. In order to drive a car, you have to pass what? A driver's test. You have to get on the road to be able to see that you're not going to run over people. So I don't have a problem with, if this is what you want about legal means, then you have to go through the process to learn about it and to require a gun safety course.
Right.
All right. Well, listen, I think that even with the whole Second Amendment safety and Second Amendment owning, that the Second Amendment stores, they should have the same system that the police have when they pull you over. Find out if you're a felon or anything like that. Because I don't want to wait. I don't want to wait 5 days, 4 days, 3 days. I'm not interested in waiting. I'm a bigger Second Amendment guy. And if I want to own one, I want to be able to purchase it because I am a citizen. I'm a law-abiding citizen. I don't have a record. I don't know why I have to wait. Because in my opinion, as we all know, I think criminals don't follow laws.
Right.
So laws, yes, they will punish the criminals, but they don't follow them. So it prohibits me, a law-abiding citizen, from owning what it is that I want to own. So I don't have a problem with you checking and common sense Second Amendment laws, but I don't want to be impeded on purchasing what I want to purchase. Ms. Mayor, I want to find out from you on the assault weapons ban. We know it was in place in '94 with Bill Clinton, and then George Bush let it expire. Do you have a position on the assault weapons ban?
Not particularly. I mean, okay. I don't necessarily know that it solves, to go back to your point, I don't necessarily know that it solves any problem. Because if someone wants it, you know as well as I do, there's a black market. They're going to get it if they want it bad enough and have enough money to pay for it. So to me, and there's a lot of confusion around what is an assault weapon, what is not an assault weapon, and a lot of bureaucracy which surrounds it.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think there are reports that I'm getting that they said it did studies that 10-year period, and they're saying that there wasn't much of a difference as far as the things that were used illegally. So I'm not sure if it helped the situation. Like I said, I'm a big Second Amendment guy, and I don't want American citizens' rights to be trampled on because of crime and things like that, especially if they're law-abiding. I don't want to wait. So I'm not really for it, I guess. I'm kind of in between. I guess I could be persuaded if the numbers came out and said it made a difference, then I guess I could be persuaded on that way.
Well, for me, because since you mentioned that before on another panel, I kind of looked more into it, and then I kind of agree with what she's saying about the things that children are exposed to more these days. Now, it could be that back then we weren't having these instances that we're having now. I think that would be, safe to say because we weren't. But if we were to maybe re-implement that again now, it could maybe, I don't know, halt it up. I mean, I'm from Alabama, honestly. We are big 2A people here too. I don't agree with banning everything. However, I do feel that certain places just need to be protected, and we're just kind of failing at that. And we continue to see, I think, like somebody put in the comments, I mean, you can print them on a printer now. Like, I mean, you really can't.
Printers, correct.
Control.
Yeah.
Right, you can't.
Right. So I just wanted to ask.
And also, I mean, I'm just going to throw this out there, but I also think a lot of that goes back to when we look at a lot of the shootings that have occurred, particularly school shootings. There's what we've discovered in a lot of reading is there's a lot of those kids had some real mental health issues. They fell through the cracks.
Right.
Why did they fall through the cracks? What about it? And did the public education system automatically say, oh, well, we need to get this kid on medicine instead of addressing the real issue? Does this kid have a learning disorder? Is he from an abusive home? Is this what he's learning? I think those are the things that are for me personally, I'm a huge fan of getting rid of the Department of Education
Oh,
federally
really?
and going back to the states because we had our
Mhm.
numbers were better, we were better educated, our children were much more proficient at that point in time. But I think there's a huge bureaucracy there that does again what I talked about at the beginning. What happens? All the money goes to the bureaucrats at the top and in the middle, and it never gets to the kid. Where as my belief of smaller government and local control, when it's local, we have better control of what our particular county school system or our village or our, whatever situation you live in. When there's local control and the accountability is to the citizen and to the taxpayer and not Washington, D.C., we will have better means to create what our community for its specific needs and have those addressed without having to deal with checking the box, check the box, check the box, check the box. Because what it seems these days is that it's more about teaching the test and checking the box than does Johnny know how to read? And does Johnny know how to do math? And are some of these kids have some real learning disorders that they're just falling through the cracks on? So I think part of this answer to that is two-pronged.
Yeah, I don't necessarily agree that though it would come from defunding the Department of Education or undoing it. I think it would actually come from allocating more there and also putting people who are specialized in these things into those facilities. Like, for example, in medicine, even if you have a mental disorder, a nurse cannot diagnose that or treat that. A general practitioner can't do that. You need a specialized psychiatrist, a specialized psychologist. So I think that those needs to be, put into these places. But additionally, I respectfully disagree with you on the view on the Department of Education for the fact that I feel like it hadn't had to go to the federal government. Had the local governments and state governments valued it enough to give them the funding they needed. You are right that they are just kind of checking the boxes to continue to get funding from the federal government. However, I felt if the local level and the state level valued them like they should be valued, they wouldn't even have to go to that resource in the first place. But again, it is a two-pronged solution. I mean, it's a lot of things goes into it. It's very complex, and I appreciate you though for disclosing how your opinions and views on it.
Thank you for asking, Brooke. Nice to speak with you.
Absolutely, Miss Mary.
Yeah,
As
thank
she's
you.
told, as
Nice
John
to speak to
King,
you.
yeah, John King said, all questions are on the table. 100%. I definitely appreciate Miss Mary come. I want to touch real quickly on your tax policy because it looks like you are for the fair tax. Is that right, Miss Mary?
Correct.
Okay. Would like
And
to
this,
talk about that a little bit?
yes, I would. Essentially, the fair tax is based on a consumption tax. Okay. If you spend the money, you pay the tax. If you don't spend the money, you don't pay the tax. And it's on new items. What it does in the state of Georgia and what it would do if we could take it nationally. Fair tax is based on, it eliminates the income tax. The way that sales tax works in Georgia is that the state of Georgia collects the first 4%. So, like in DeKalb County's sales tax rate is 8%. Okay. So the first 4% goes to the state of Georgia. The other 4% goes to the county and the locality, city, local, all of that. There are a lot of things that Georgia, particularly their sales tax equation is very complicated. Right. And there are certain things that you pay state sales tax on and certain things that don't pay state sales tax on. So the fair tax comes in and says, all right, we're going based on a consumption tax. We eliminate the income tax. We eliminate the state sales tax. A county sales tax still stays in place, but for the consumer, it also eliminates tax on groceries. Why do we pay sales tax on food?
Right, on food, I agree with you on that.
Why do we pay? Have you looked at your Georgia Power bill recently? Why do we pay sales tax on electricity?
Right.
All of those things, it eliminates all of that, and you basically pay a sales tax on consumption. If you buy a new Mercedes and you pay a huge sales tax on it, it's because you decided to spend the money to buy the Mercedes.
Right.
Cool. If you buy a used Bronco, you don't pay tax on it because the tax was already paid when it was
No
purchased.
double taxation.
Exactly. So, and here's, and essentially as you roll it down, again, we go back to a government is not a company. It shouldn't have a profit and loss statement. I love the fact that Georgia is a saving state and that we do have a surplus, and that's wonderful for emergencies and rainy days and all of that. However, $20 billion in surplus, where did that come from? That's not dividends. That's not interest. That came from overtaxation of who? The taxpayer.
Taxpayers, right.
So I, like most people, understand having a rainy day fund. You need everything needs an emergency fund for natural disasters, things along that line. But when we're overtaxing the citizenry, it's time to relook at this thing, because we've got the state of Georgia as a corporation making a lot of money that it doesn't need to make.
I would agree 100%. Well, Miss Mary, I want to thank you for coming up. You spent an hour with us. Fantastic. Listen, Donald Trump does listen to the show, okay, from time to time. We have a mutual connection, and he has listened to the show, and he pops in from time to time. I'm trying to get 90 seconds with him.
Nice.
A friend of the show is working on that. If he's listening, is there any advice you would give Donald Trump going forward with 41 days left for when we go to the polls?
I would say, President Trump, stay the course. The fact that you have broadened and taken new avenues and new routes to reach people and broken some of the traditional molds, the fact that he went on Theo Van, and the fact that he's doing podcasts and he's doing other things, I think is important, because that's what we're shifting to. We're shifting away from the 3 stations mainstream media, and we are moving into all brand new ways to communicate with each other. And I think that's really important to reach every audience as possible.
Absolutely. More voting, not less. More people hearing the message, not less. I just wish that sometimes he wouldn't go down the rabbit hole sometimes and kind of stay on policy and, maybe not talk as much off policy, stay on policy. I think he'd be better suited for that. And in turn, I don't have any idea if VP Harris does listen, but if she did, would you have any advice for her?
That's kind of a hard one. Not a big fan.
I understand.
I would suggest that if she is going to tout that her policies have been checked out by certain institutions, that she might want to check with them before she says that they were checked out with them, because apparently some of the things that at the debate she said that she had support from, they have now later come back and said, no, we didn't say that. So I would just suggest that she double check her sources before she speaks to them.
Got it. Okay, great. Listen, Miss Mary, again, we want to give you a round of applause for coming and having a conversation with us. Campaign spokesman John. We were on the phone earlier today, and man, I tell you, he's a great brother, and I definitely appreciate him making the introduction. Go ahead, John.
Real quick, man. If Donald Trump is watching this.
Okay, go ahead. He does listen. I know that for a fact.
I would like to say this is that we need every person really to reach to me because there's nothing being done in DeKalb County and there's nothing being done in Fulton County. That means yard signs. There's no yard signs that's in Fulton County or DeKalb County or any of the urban communities that's out here. But there's a lot in Savannah. There's a lot in these areas. From what I got from one of the captains, well, one of the leaders that's over the Trump 47, because I am a captain, they said that people are scared. And I said, well, they're scared, then where are all the yard signs at? And the thing about it is that we're not getting no yard signs. We're supposed to get a ton of yard signs. One of the persons in Fulton County you talked to this morning was with Mr. Fats. He said he asked for some, and, you know, they didn't give him none, but they're saying they're all passed out. We don't see none of these yard signs out here. Ms. Mary Benefield can vouch for what I'm telling you in DeKalb County. And so we need those yard signs. And then on top of it, like I said, we want to get in contact because if nothing that Sean said, which is over to DeKalb County, he said that they're scared. So if you're scared, let me show y'all how to talk to the urban community because we need to be able to talk and be able to speak with my urban community. Ms. Mary Benefield comes out all the time into the urban community every weekend. And then her opponent, I've invited him to come out. And I invited him. He says that he's got bigger and better things to do. And I actually invited him to come out first because, but the main thing is this, is that we needed yard signs. I have a lot of urban Trump supporters out there. I have a lot of white Trump supporters. I have a lot of people that just Trump supporters in general. That's in the county, DeKalb County. DeKalb County is the #1 black community in the United States as far as wealth. And I don't see why we're not getting no Trump signs out there. And then it's being told to me, okay, that they're all passed out. I flow all the way through DeKalb County with Ms. Mary Benefield. I'm putting her signs up. I seen Eugene, what's his name? Eugene Yu. I seen Eugene Yu with the big red poster. He's running for Congress, I think. And I see all his, but I don't see no Trump. So, I mean, it's something that's not right here. And I really feel that if there needs to be something that's done for the community, talk to me. Talk to me. I don't want to go through no secondhand, no firsthand. Talk to me. I done reached out to all the people that's underneath them, and they're smoke screening me. And I am on the team, but at the same time, I'm not gonna sit back and just say, hey, not do nothing, because I believe in Trump, and I feel Trump is the best person that should be in that office, and I love everything that he stands for, and I think he's right here for America and for the people.
All right, Mr. John said what he said. Get the signs out to Mr. John. He's a captain. He needs more signs. He wants to have more visibility for Trump in the urban community. So please, Mr. Trump or any of his people, Mr. CMB, go and get that message to them that they need more signs here in DeKalb County. Mr. John is requesting that to, I guess, raise the visibility of Trump. Because I think when we talked earlier, you're saying you've seen a lot of Harris signs, but not many Trump signs.
And it's not only just DeKalb County. We're talking about Fulton County. We're talking about in the Metro Atlanta, because it just seems to me they're just targeting more of the red areas where we need to focus on the blue areas. And if we're going to win Georgia, we need the Metro Atlanta area where there's urban community at. Because Harris, it's not, people keep saying Harris. The Democrats been planning for this for a minute. Okay, this ain't no just overnight thing. They've been planning for this a minute. You know, these illegal immigrants that have become citizens, and now they're voting. So everything that you're seeing right now has already been done. All you're just seeing is just a smoke screen, and the smoke screen is like, hey, oh, well, look, all these legal immigrants. They've been coming in. They've been coming in all during the Biden's administration. They've been coming in here. They established grounds, and now they can vote. And those numbers, we don't know those numbers. All what we're seeing is that, they're catching all the illegals. But a lot of things have lawsuits that's going to take way further than just Trump's, by the time the election. And by the time election will be over with. So we need to do what we could do right now and be sure that we can give understanding to the urban community. I have actually got video where I talk to a lot of the urban community, and I explain to them some of the policies that so-called Harris has made up right now. And then once they find out these things, they turn their head away. They either say, I'm not going to vote, or I'm going to vote Trump, but I'm definitely not going to vote Harris. And then some of them just don't believe it, and they're like, "Oh, I don't believe that. That's under Harris campaign." I said, "Yes, it is." So my main thing is that we got to stop being scared, talking about, "Oh, well, Atlanta is the biggest crime place." Stop being scared. But if you're scared, like Bone Curtis said, go to church. You know what I'm saying? But church is in every situation. But come talk to me. I'm right here. I got people in Fulton County, all these urban areas. It ain't nothing to be scared of. You scared to get out there, then put the support behind what me and this other brother that's doing, and a lot of other people that's doing. And they're definitely not scared to be out there. Trump, Miss Benefield have some people that's Trump. I have people that's Trump. We have friends all around, and we're not scared to do anything.
Absolutely. You heard what Mr. John said. Get those signs out to him, and he's going to make sure those signs are out so there's more visibility. All right? Again,
thank you, Denali, so much for having me on.
No, you're very welcome. Thank you for coming up and giving us a little time. And good luck in the race.
I appreciate that.
Around. Mr. John, I'll be in touch with you. Okay, sir?
Oh, you know it, man. Hey, we got to rock and roll this thing, man. All that in those areas that you're around and stuff. Hey, it's all about the kids, man, and the future,
Absolutely. Thank you so much. You guys take care, and good luck out there on the road.
Appreciate
all right, blessings to you. Blessings to everybody else as well.
Bye-bye.
Right,
thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Bye-bye. All right, there you go. Mr. Denali talks to the candidates. Mr. Denali talks to the candidates. Wow, what a great interview. I'm so happy that Ms. Mary Benefield graced us gave us a little time, and we can talk about some issues that are facing, even though she is a state Senate candidate here in Georgia, but many of the issues that she talked about are going on all around the country. And who knows where Ms. Benefield will be. Maybe she'll be governor one day. Maybe she'll be a federal senator. Okay, who knows? Let's go. Ms. Kim, what do you got to say there?
I liked her. Like Mr. Rose said, I'm a Democrat, but I did like, the things that she was saying. Mm-hmm. I don't like that she's a Trump supporter, of course. But again, what we preach over here is that we have more in common than we have things that separate us. Let's talk about the things that we have in common and work our way out from there. Even though she's a Trump supporter, she is a family person. She has children and things like that, and she's in the community, so she understands what the problems are. Mental health, Second Amendment control, education, economy. We just have different ways on how we want to solve these difficult how to get there. Yeah. I did like the things that she was saying, but I did have a question about what John said at the end, because he said that under Biden's administration, he let in all these immigrants, and now they're citizens. And I thought it took much longer for them to become citizens. So,
that is true. You don't get citizenship right away. It takes some time. Oh, Mr. John is back. Mr. John is back.
I ain't never scared to ask questions. You're definitely right. What I know you're trying to say from the last administration. Unfortunately, what I'm finding out, through different resources, that some of them not paying by the rules. Okay. And unfortunately, we're supposed to all play by the rules. That's why you see a lot of illegal immigrants being caught right now. But at the same time, before they was being caught, there was a lot of them that wasn't, and they bend the rules. I know there are actually some that's been bending the rules for a good minute, and they're not just necessarily over the border right next to our country. They come from other different countries. I know this personal-hand, and at the same time, it's like they establish themselves here, and unfortunately, there's a lot of numbers that does that same routine, and they establish themselves here. And they what they do is they come underneath another person. They stay in their house. They learn from them. They get them into the jobs, and they don't even, they lie about a lot of stuff that what their qualifications are for and stuff. And it does happen. I mean, I've seen it firsthand. So.
Well, I'm not sure if undocumented immigrants can vote. I know out in California there are some local jurisdictions where they are allowing some undocumented people to vote, or documented who aren't citizens, but I'm not sure you can do it. I'm almost positive you can't do it federally. Whether that changes in the future, but as of right now, I don't think there's any evidence of undocumented people voting in the presidential and state elections. Some local jurisdictions, yes, absolutely, that is happening. I know I think there's 47 local jurisdictions around the country where they do allow undocumented immigrants to vote. A lot of them out in California, but it's on a very local level, council member, maybe mayor, but that might be the highest that they can go at this particular time. Mm-hmm. Based on my research, just for the record.
Well, like I say, I know even on the research of what you're saying, can't speak on what level, but I'm pretty sure that it could be on any level, because they can actually use the technology systems. I actually know this person that I hope I don't get in trouble with this. Using nah, I'm not gonna do it. But yeah,
I think that like I said, based on our research on some local elections, I think maybe the highest may be mayor, but federally and state, if you're undocumented, you cannot vote. Whether that changes in the future,
I'll put it like this. I know some people. I'm not going to say. I know some people that actually was dealing with the Cisco systems. And yeah, and they actually, some people that didn't have the qualifications, and they was illegal actually as well. And some of the sources which told me how that they actually learn from each other, and how that they don't have the qualifications to do this and do that, and then they wasn't even legally supposed to be here, and they actually made up things from where their country is to be legally here. And so I mean,
John, if you have that information, please share it with me, and I'll bring it to my audience.
I'm not.
No. If you have, what I'm saying, I guess what I'm saying is that if it's just anecdotal, where like people are just saying these things, we like to make sure that we're putting out good information. And like I said, yes, there are some local municipalities, and I don't think higher than mayor, and I think a lot of them are in California, but not across the nation based on our research on the show.
Well, yeah, like I say again, I mean, I just try to leave it at the fine line, but I am saying that they're dealing with a technology system like Cisco. Believe me, they have assets and programming. They have ways that they could do so many different things. So, and I put it out there because we're at that critical point of really truth right now. And I mean, again, I put out there also, it could be ways where people could look into it and stop it from happening, because it's very important where we're dealing with technology, dealing with the election system. So I just don't, again, but it's out there. It's out there, definitely out there and stuff.
Now this brother that just came up, EK, he's a good friend to the show. He won our very first Mr.Denali Brings the Debates. So he has a reigning champion. He's an excellent debater, and he's full of knowledge. I think I'm full of knowledge. When I talk to EK, I get smarter every time. I see he came up. I assume maybe he has a question or comment, EK?
Uh-oh.
Mr. EK, unmute.
If you want,
yeah.
Mr. EK?
Can you hear me? Do I got a poor connection again?
Yeah, we have Mrs. Mary Benefield.
I got that Trump Wi-Fi.
Yeah, you got that Trump Wi-Fi. Mrs. Mary Benefield, State Senate candidate.
No, actually, I'm actually traveling. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I don't know, we have Miss Mary Benefield, State candidate, District 55 here in Georgia, with us for an hour. And I saw that you came up. This is our campaign spokesman, Mr. John. Did you have a question for him or a comment?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I came in on the tail end of this. Is she a Republican or a Democrat?
She's a Republican.
Then I support her.
Okay.
I do have a question. You're saying it's in.
Well, Mr. EK, Mr. Rose said that
And I'm
he
sorry
was
about my.
Well, look.
Oh, well, then that's good. Then I mean, she's got crossover appeal.
Absolutely. But
Hey.
did you have a quick question real quickly?
Yeah, if you can hear me. Unfortunately, I'm in a bad area, so I apologize for
We
that.
can hear you. We can hear you. Go ahead and ask your question
Yeah, my
real
question is, okay, good. How does she plan on making things better for her constituents? Just kind of a Reader's Digest.
She's actually left.
Oh, she's gone.
Yeah,
Okay.
she's gone. Well, the things that she's definitely standing for within this county right here, and for the people that's in this county, it's really a base where that they can use as a reciprocal for other counties and other states, so they can, a lot of things that we discuss here, right here, is definitely what she's definitely standing for, and a lot more things as well. Transparency and accountability about a lot of things that stands for in taxpayer.
Okay. Well, Mr. EK, this episode is going to be up on YouTube, and you can catch the full episode on YouTube at Mr. Denali XXL, at Mr. Denali XXL. I want to thank John again and Mrs. Mary Benefield for spending some time with us and telling us how she's going to help her district move forward. That's what we're all about over here. As I said, Mr. Rose said he would vote for her, so that's a win. A win is a win, right, Mr. EK? A win is a win.
Absolutely.
I really had jumped back on real quick because I see Nani wanted to ask a question. Like I said, there's a lot of insight stuff. Like I said, everything that we see on TV, media, and social media, there's always something that's way beyond the streams of these things. We hadn't even got on the topic of foreign corporations that own a lot of stuff there on the government system. So, I mean, again, we just like hit the surface. That's why I tell people, understand this. You got the wrestlers that's acting, and you got the behind the scenes, which makes the writing of it that takes place. So, so what I'm saying, dealing with the system, dealing with the elections and stuff, we have to be ready in our communities, urban communities. You said that you're a Democrat, that's fine. But for us Republicans, we have to reach out more about the truth of what it stands for what Trump stands for, these policies, what it stands for. I know a lot of people get in their emotions about he's rude, all these things, racist, all this stuff. Me personally, I don't feel that he is racist and stuff. Like, I feel that he does say some fly things, but it's like parables, it's like the Bible. He says it in the ways of things that you can't understand, so people can understand, so that people that do understand, that you can understand how to be able to relate communication without it being interference of communication with people that do understand. So, in that saying, I mean, it's things that I would never, ever, ever personally, ever. I don't care if it was Trump. I don't care if it was Kamala Harris, 90th twin in another century. I would never push behind a child being able to be taken out of their home. I mean, in the state, getting with the child to be able to become a transdrome. Okay, I can't say the word transdrome. So I would never, ever push for that. And right now, when she picked up that person to run next to her, that is in Minnesota right now. A lot of people do not know that your child can leave the parents' home without the parents' permission and get with the state to become a transdrome. Okay?
Right. Okay. So, let's okay.
I'm aware of that. I'm aware of that.
Hang on one second, Ms. Kim.
That's me personally. No,
hang on. I got Mr. John. I got you. I want to make sure that we don't. I see we got Miss DJ. Miss DJ, What's going on, Miss DJ?
I'm just passing through and happened to, run into this young man speaking, and I'm just trying to grasp what he just said.
Well, hang on a second, Miss DJ. We had he is a campaign spokesman for Miss Mary Benefield, who is running for state senate here in the great state of Georgia, District 5. And we just did an hour interview with her, telling everyone how she is going to help her district move forward. She is a Republican running, and she had some opportunity to come up. And just, we had an interview, and this is our campaign spokesperson.
Okay.
Okay, so we want to make sure, number one, that we're being respectful because I did invite them here, and I definitely don't want it to go off the rails.
Why would they do that?
How you doing, Miss DJ?
Hey, boy, how you doing?
You look beautiful too. I love my beautiful sister.
Okay, thank you.
You married?
So let me. I hate I missed the person before you because I would love
You
to
can check it out on Mr.Denali at Mr.Denali XXL on YouTube. You'll have the full interview up here probably tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you have a question for Mr. John real quickly?
I do, Mr. John. So I just came across and heard you say something of the nature of a kid going to school.
Why you mute yourself?
You got a phone call.
Hold on.
Well,
hold on. I got it.
Oh, that's what no phone call.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
I don't listen. I don't want to go
Can
down.
you hear me now?
Miss DJ, I do not want to go down the road of transgender and anything else like that.
You can't, hey, Denali, you can't use that word.
So I thought that's what he was speaking
What I'm
on.
saying is that I'm not looking to have a full-fledged conversation this time. We have had it in the past, and we are working on a show for a transgender conversation. But
Okay, so
You can't use that word.
the only way that I want to have
you can use transgender.
okay.
You use it.
Gotcha, Miss
you use
DJ. Miss
transgender.
DJ.
So what am I going to speak on if that's what he was speaking on?
Well, Miss
you want me to
DJ,
start a whole
Miss
different
DJ.
conversation?
No, he wasn't. DJ,
Hang on a second. Okay, listen, everybody just quiet for 1 second. I do not want to have a full-fledged conversation on transgender right now. We are working on a show.
Fine.
No, I'm not going to hold on. What do you mean hold on?
Who are you talking to?
Who said hold on?
I didn't hear anyone say hold
okay.
on.
I'm saying
I
that
said,
I don't wanna-
that's fine.
No, I'm just saying I don't want to have the conversation right now. I'd like to have it in a way
The third,
that
fourth
helps.
time you said we heard that.
All right, great. All right, so is there another question you have, Miss DJ, or was that the only one that you wanted to have?
I mean, that's the only thing he spoke on.
Okay, well, like I said, we did a whole hour already with his candidate. He came back up because Ms. Kim had a question, and he came back up to answer that particular question.
I love y'all, man.
So,
All right, Mr. John.
What's going on? Yes,
All
DJ.
right, take care, brother. Bye-bye. All right. Yeah, I'm not interested in having a whole full-fledged conversation on transgender right now.
Dang, Mr. Denali, I hate I mixed that.
Yeah, me too. I send out the invite.
I know that's right. I hate I missed that.
I know you're busy,
But,
brother. I know you're busy.
So, what time are you going to be on later today?
Yeah, we're excuse me. What time is it now? It's 5, so we'll probably come back here at 7. But I just wanted to
Okay, I'll try to get on. I'm gonna try to chime in at 7, but I got to go right now. Thanks a lot. Hey,
All right.
Kim.
all right, Big Mo.
I'm gonna drop down, Mr. Denali, and just listen.
Hey, how you doing, EK? Mr. Denali?
Great. Big Mo, what's up, brother?
Hey, how you doing, man? I just came up here to speak to you. What you having on tonight?
It'll
For
be
sure,
a conversation about the election and everything like that. We just had a conversation with Mary Benefield, state senate candidate here in Georgia.
Oh, okay. Can I ask a question?
She's not here anymore.
I said, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Who are you leaning to vote for?
It's 50-50 at this point in time.
Oh, you were between the fence. Okay. That's what's up.
As a journalist, that's I have to, not have to, but that's how I am. giving each candidate an opportunity to earn my vote.
Well, the first debate didn't swing you towards any of them?
You mean the first debate between Biden and Trump?
No. Kamala and
Yeah, we got 42 days left, and I'll make a decision between now and those 42 days.
right.
Or
I'm
maybe
just saying the first debate didn't help you out to vote for whoever
yeah,
you want to vote
she
for.
went up. It was 51-49. Now it's 50-50.
Oh, okay. All right. She made it even.
I think she won the debate for sure.
Yeah, she won it. She.
Anything else, Mr. Mo? Oh, what, you got bars or something? Mr. Mo? Mr. Mo? Okay. Anyway, I don't know when. I think he's got some bars. Get your parachute, pull a ripcord, Mr. Mo. You're out of here. All right. I think that's it, Miss Kim, for right now. I think we did a great interview. I think she answered the question. You got a response from Mr. John. You heard something you say. He wanted to come right back up. But I think the overwhelming theme is this, that we all know what the challenges are. We just have to work on the common challenges and then work our way from there.
My other question I want to ask you about what your thoughts are. When she talked about the ballot counting and having people do it versus the machines do it.
Correct.
Right. I would not trust anybody to count those ballots.
Well, I think that what they're going to do, if they do it that way, there will be a Democratic and a Republican watching the counting.
Oh.
To make it fair. I just worry about time.
That's a lot. That's a lot of work.
It is. Technology is great. I think technology can definitely streamline it. Chris Krebs, the former Undersecretary for Homeland Security, Cybersecurity, said that 2020 was the most secure election ever. I don't know what else to do besides that. But people have difference of opinions, and me, I love to agree to disagree. We just have different ways that we think that we can accomplish the same goals. That's it. So, but I think that we've done enough right now. So we're going to end this portion, and then we'll be back at like 7, and then have our regular show, and we'll probably talk about this. I'll probably try to get this up as soon as possible up on YouTube at Mr.Denali XXL. At Mr.Denali XXL. I welcome DJ who came in. I welcome her to go watch it on at Mr.Denali XXL, at Mr.Denali XXL up on YouTube.
It was a great show.
Thank you so much, Ms. Kim. I really do thank you for saying that. All right. So we'll be back in about 2 hours.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Right. Bye-bye. Let's get out of here.